Happy 5th of July. Good to see you today. We hope you had a great 4th of July, wherever you happen to be. Had a little celebration, a good birthday party, and you are back and ready to tackle all the news of the day. It is the Full Court Press coming to you live from our nation's capital, brought to you today by the Utility Workers Union of America. The good men and women of the Utility Workers Union under President Michael Langford and General Secretary Gary Ruffner, delivering vital services and a brighter future. And we are pleased to welcome to the studio Secretary Treasurer Gary Ruffner this morning. Gary, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for coming in. We have a lot to talk about with the electric grid, and we'll get to right to that, plus a lot of other issues today. And, of course, the whole team here, Peter Ogburn.
Hey.
And Dan Henning.
Bill, good morning.
And Cyprian Bolding, who is back with us, and he's got power back. So
he's got the power.
Yeah, again, I went to a party last night, and a lot of friends over in Georgetown, and what was the first question people were asking each other as they all walked in? So, do you have power? Did you lose power? Are you okay? And there were people there who did not have power. Still. So, it's still the talk of the town. Mm-hmm. You guys are all okay.
I ran into a spot this morning. I was coming in this morning, and I was going to get gas at my normal gas station that I hit on my way into work, and I pulled in, and they had no power still. So I had to backtrack and go all the way back to a different gas station. What's that?
Why were they even open?
They weren't. Normally you just pull up, you pay at the pump, and you don't have to deal with anybody. And this morning it was still no power.
Imagine how much money they've lost.
Yeah. Really.
Since last Friday.
It's almost a week now.
Wow, how about that? Yeah. Meanwhile, we got problems here. They got some problems down in Alabama too. This was in Peter in Beaverton, right?
Beaverton, Alabama.
Yeah, is that where you're from?
I don't know Beaverton, Alabama. I know lots of parts of Alabama.
Come on, Peter.
All my family there in Birmingham, but I don't know Beaverton.
When I think Alabama, I think Peter Ogburn, right?
Clearly.
So there's a church down there. The church is having a big event, and the church has advertised it as a whites-only event in Alabama. But the pastor says, don't think we're no racists.
It has nothing whatsoever to do with any kind of racism or hate or anything like that. And anybody who would brand that as that would be a racist and a hater.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. What? I don't even understand what he said.
So if you don't like the fact that they're having a whites-only event, then you are a racist. Yeah, go figure.
Look, there are some fine people in the state of Alabama.
He ain't one of them. Right. So we'll talk electric grid with Gary Ruffner here. Sister Simone Campbell, one of the leader of the Nuns on the Bus, back in town, off the bus, and we'll find out all about that great crusade. And in the next hour, Congressman Tim Ryan from Ohio will be here, along with Neil King, political reporter for the Wall Street Journal. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
On this Thursday, other headlines making news. Tom Cruise may be giving up a lot of money in his divorce, depending on what that prenup with Kitty Holmes says, as Forbes magazine has just named him the highest paid actor in Hollywood for the past year, earning $75 million for the year-long period ending in May. The bulk of that coming from his film Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol. Leonardo DiCaprio and Adam Sandler are in a distant second, taking in $37 million each. By comparison, the highest-paid woman of the year in Hollywood was Kristen Stewart. She earned $34.5 million.
Are you telling me that Tom Cruise made more money than Patrick Leahy last year?
Yes.
Oh, speaking of which...
Senator Pat Leahy has another speaking role in the next Batman
That's right,
movie.
The new Batman movie's coming out.
Coming out end of the summer, I think.
This month, later this month.
Later this month?
Yeah.
Remember, he told us about that.
We'll have to have him back
in the last one.
This time, now that we're on TV, he can wear his Batman cowl. The whole mask and everything.
A belated happy birthday to the elder first daughter, Malia Obama, turning 14 yesterday. Not a bad day to celebrate, July the 4th. The White House hosted country star Brad Paisley for a concert, not for her birthday, but for the 4th of July. Happened to fall on the same day, and of course also she was able to watch the fireworks over the National Mall last night.
This is your birthday song. It doesn't last too long. Hey!
Oh, isn't that nice? John Boehner coming out to sing her a happy birthday. I was watching the fireworks last night, and I thought, boy, Obama really knows how to show his daughter a good time. for her birthday, right?
And fireworks all across the nation last night, and one show went off with a big bang, exactly one big bang, in San Diego, California. The LA Times telling us a computer glitch caused the entire show in the harbor of the San Diego fireworks show to go off all at once, left hundreds of thousands of people disappointed. It was supposed to be a 20-minute show, lasted 15 seconds.
But I'll tell you one thing. It was a hell of a 15 seconds. Here's what it sounded like.
I'm the all of them.
It's like World War III, right? It says, or as if in World War II they dropped all the bombs at one time in one spot. Oh, man. All right, who's going to lose their job over that one?
Right.
Yeah.
They're investigating this morning to see what happened.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Well, I think somebody will lose their job over this power situation, too. There is still, almost a week after the storm, 1 million people without power in this region. And this is interesting because those of you who were here with us Tuesday morning, we wanted to talk about the grid, and so we reached out and booked somebody from the, I forget his name now, Matt Olierchik, I think his name was. He's from the Electric Power Research Institute, and he started telling us, trying to make us believe that there's nothing wrong, there are no problems, the power companies are doing a great job, and the grid, there's nothing wrong with the grid. And we heard from our good friend Gary Ruffner, who said, hey, that's not necessarily the case. So let me come in and tell you what's really going on. Gary, good to see you. So why is it taking them so long to get the power back, for starters? And then let's talk about the grid.
Yeah, ever since utility deregulation back in the 90s, utilities have neglected their routine maintenance programs and not done as much routine maintenance as they should be doing. That's tree trimming, that's replacing poles, and everything that they need to maintain a reliable system. They just aren't doing it. They're running the utilities into the ground, and they're reaping all the profits for the shareholders, and they're not concerned about the ratepayers at all. They think that they can just try and convince people that every storm is the worst storm they've ever dealt with, where the system is just falling apart.
Well, that's what this guy was saying from the EPRI, the Electric Power Research, the EPRI, that just can't do anything about these. We're doing a great job, but can't do anything about these storms. If I'm still without power a week later, I'm not going to believe that crap, right? Or should I?
Yeah. No, and that's totally irresponsible for them to act like this. When they know what the problem is, they know that utilities aren't doing the routine maintenance that they should be doing. And
so they should be out there getting the tree limbs away from the power lines regularly, is what you're saying, right? It's a regular part of maintenance.
Yeah, and if they were replacing the poles that are rotting in the ground, those poles wouldn't fall over just by being brushed by some tree limbs or having a tree fall on them. A lot of those poles would hold. But when they're not replacing those poles, that's what's going to happen when you have a storm.
And do they have sufficient person power to respond to a storm like this? When there is a severe weather situation?
No, they don't. It's getting worse. Because
that's another problem, right?
Yeah, because all utilities have been reducing the amount of people that they have available to do this work.
On the road, on the lines, right?
On the lines. And so they rely on each other. And that's part of the thing that disturbs us the most is when Con Ed in New York is acting so irresponsible, and they locked out 8,000 of our members when they could have sent crews down to this area to help restore service, but they didn't do that. And they're jeopardizing the public and the system up in New York, as well as the supervisors that are trying to do that work. They're endangering them because they simply aren't used to doing that work all the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had crews. I saw on the news the other night. I think even last night we had crews here in the Washington D.C. area from Canada.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of New York, right? They had brought them all the way from Canada.
Yeah. And they could have certainly helped restore our service sooner than bringing crews in all the way from Canada. And that's the other problem with not maintaining a system properly is you don't have the people that know the system that are able to respond because you've reduced the number of people that are doing that work.
Gary Ruffner is the General Secretary Treasurer of the Utility Workers Union of America. Here we're talking about the power and the electric utilities and regular maintenance that you ought to be doing. No matter where you are in the country, we have all had some experience with utility companies, I think, not doing the job that they're supposed to. If you have any questions or comments, 866-55-PRESS. So, Gary, what about the grid itself? I mean, we hear this word like infrastructure, and you think highways, you think bridges, tunnels, maybe sewage treatment plants, but the electric grid is a big part of that, right?
Yes, it is.
And what shape is it in?
That's not in great shape either. That needs to be reconducted, and we need to put in more efficient lines that are able to transmit energy longer distances, without line loss. And to be able to do that, you have to shut a line down to reconductor it unless you build a line right next to it. We don't have the luxury of siting new lines, and when the lines are already overloaded and you can't shut one down to reconductor it and put in these new conductors and highly efficient power transmission lines, then that's a big problem.
We can't do it because we don't have the resources to do it, we don't have the money to do it, or we don't have, as you point out, you can't develop or create a new line.
It's very difficult to site new transmission lines for right-of-way and everything else that has to be done. So if you try to reconductor the old line and bring it up to more efficient standards, you have to be able to shut that down. You can't do that work live on a transmission line because of the power.
We're in the 21st century. Are we operating with a 19th century or a 20th century or a 21st century grid?
Well, we're probably dealing with a 20th century. We're certainly not in 21st century yet.
Earliest 20th century.
Well,
right.
probably not that far back, but there are problems. And
who's responsible for maintaining the grid?
Well, with electric distribution, they've made these system operators responsible, and that's always been a problem because, we saw what happened with Enron, where Enron was manipulating the markets and gouging people on prices, and we don't think that the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission is capable of monitoring all that. In fact, we saw just Tuesday where J.P. Morgan is now being investigated for manipulating the market in California.
Also?
Yeah. The place deregulation started and where the greatest gouging and manipulation occurred in history.
Let's take a quick call here, if we can, Gary, from Ned. Is calling from Streeter, Illinois. Hey, Ned. Good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
Yeah. Hi.
I'm a retired lineman.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What's your question?
Well, it's not a question. It's a statement. You listen to this, the gentleman, the president of the utility workers, he hit the nail right on the head. When I first started back in the 60s, Chicago had 1,100 linemen who actually build these lines and maintain them. And now the entire company doesn't have 1,100. And the area is vast. It's northern Illinois, which includes Rockford, Chicago. And the deregulation is the problem. That is the problem. When the utility boards, used to regulate them, they made sure that they had people to restore power. My first storm, I worked 56 hours.
Wow.
The first day. Yeah. And everybody was restored before we went home.
Right. So if you don't have Ned, you're just making the point on the ground that Gary made, which is if you don't have the manpower, to send out there to put these lines back up, I mean, you're inevitably going to have people waiting days or a week or more without power, right? Gary?
Wait.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. Ned, thanks for weighing in, man. I appreciate it, and we'll take more calls here at 866-55-PRESS. Again, it's not just in the Washington, D.C. area. It is around the country where we've seen problems with big storms and getting power back, and we're getting to the bottom of why and what can be done about it. What kind of pressure, Gary, tell us when we come back, what kind of pressure can we put on these utilities to do the right job? Here we are on the Full Court Press. It's Thursday, July 5.
Heard around the country and seen on current TV, this is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, it's 26 minutes after the hour. Sister Simone Campbell of Nuns on the Bus fame will be in studio with us in the next segment. And this Saturday evening, I've got nothing better to do. Join me on Firedog Lake, firedoglake.com. They have a book salon every Saturday evening. It's 5 to 7 p.m. East Coast time. And I'll be there all 2 hours answering questions and talking about my new book, The Obama Hate Machine. I told you about that, all about the Koch brothers. You can find out more about it at our website, BillPressShow.com, or join us Saturday evening at FDLBookSalon.com. Gary Ruffner is in the studio with us, the National Secretary Treasurer of the Utility Workers Union of North America. We're talking about problems with the grid and problems with utilities today, and what's behind their not being able to get us, all Americans, back with power. We learned a lot about that. So, Gary, if people, no matter where they are in this country, they see problems like this caused by the deregulation of these utilities, right, and where they've laid off so many people, and now they're focusing more on the profits to the top, right, than serving their customers. What can people do about it?
Well, they can
raise hell
about it. Yeah, they can call their Public Utility Commission and complain about it. The thing that a lot of people don't know, though, is some of those utility commission calls go directly to the utility, but before the commission even hears any of those complaints. So they should be contacting Congress. I love Reverend Al Sharpton. What he talks about in the past, what was acceptable in the past is no longer acceptable because we don't accept it. And that's what we have to do, is not accept what they're telling us. Not accept poor service, not accept unreliable service, and service that is not safe. When those power lines come down, they jeopardize everybody in the public.
All right, that's got to be it. Gary Ruffner, UWUA.org. You want to find out more about their good work. Thanks for coming in, Gary.
This is the Bill Press Show.